Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Joshua Fix, the commissioner of the Palmetto Racing League. Appreciate you joining us this evening or whatever time it may be where you're currently at watching this video. Wanted to take a few minutes here tonight to kind of go over the progression system, and I have a little bit of a visual presentation here that will kind of touch base on things. We're not going to go into too much detail on everything just yet. We pretty much have the foundation laid out, and that's what this presentation is going to go over tonight. It'll kind of give you a little bit of insight on what's to come. As most of you are already familiar with, the league will be moving into a progression system this year in around September. We will wait for the conclusion of the Truck Series and the Street Stock Series, as it was just announced earlier in the week or end of last week that the Truck Series will now end August 22nd to match up with when the Street Stock Series ends their season. So both seasons will be officially complete then. And we will start the rollout process for this progression system. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, even with some of the information that you've already heard thrown about with the progression system, well, what is it? What does it do exactly? What is it going to do for me? And I'm hoping that this visual presentation here will kind of answer a lot of those questions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this thing. So the Palmetto Racing League Development Ladder System. This is going to go over the league structure and the competitive progression overview. So to get started, division and structure here. This is going to be a structured performance-based progression system. So how that will work, we will have 6 competitive tiers. We will go on to discuss those here in a minute. There will be promotion and regression accountability, so the system will work both ways. I know it's been called a progression system, and it truly is, but it also does have a regression portion to that as well, and we'll go into that to some extent here in just a little bit. And it's going to kind of unify the difference between the governance and the scoring policies. So it's going to change some things, but some things are going to still stay the same with a few added mechanics involved. So moving right along, this is what the development ladder will look like. So 6 tiers. Tier 1 will be Street Stocks, Tier 2 will be SRX, Tier 3 will be ARCA, Tier 4 will be Truck, Tier 5 will be Xfinity, and then Tier 6 will be Cup. So when we think about this in sense of a ladder, and the main reason here that Tier 1, the Street Stocks, is bigger than all the rest, and it also has a bullet point, that's because we wanted to put emphasis on the Street Stocks, because the Street Stocks will be the melting pot, so to speak. This is where all brand new drivers, once this progression system starts, all new drivers will have to enter the Street Stocks. There will be no more applying for trucks or whatever series we have available. Everyone will go into the Street Stocks. That will be the beginner-friendly series of the entire league. And essentially, when you run your season in Street Stocks, what would happen is drivers going off of a driver rating system that is calculated by our new extreme scoring software will determine who our top 10 drivers are in skill, basically, to possibly move up to the next series. And we'll go into that in a little more detail here, but essentially the theory here, everyone enters Street Stock. Top 10 in driver ratings will be offered promotion to SRX. Those 10 will move up, and then Street Stocks will recruit for another season, get a nice roster and grid, and when that season concludes, those 10 from SRX, if they did well and things look good, would be offered up a spot into ARCA. And then the top 10 from Street Stocks again would move into SRX to fill those grids. Now, where it gets a little tricky, because we are basically filling in as we go, because drivers do have the option of being in the top 10 and being able to refuse a promotion. And I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself here because it's coming up on a future slide. But since we're on the tier ladder here and it's already in front of us, I kind of want to touch on it a little bit. If, let's say, top 10 from Street Stock at the conclusion of this season, we don't have all 10 that want to move to SRX. So let's say we have 3 or 4 that want to stay back. In that sense, all 10 drivers would have to repeat another season in that series because it would create a gap in ARCA. We would only have 7 or 8 drivers going to ARCA, so 2 would be missing. And then, it would create a gap. And if that gap continued on through the rest of the series, eventually, by the time anybody made it to Cup, we might only have 4 drivers until the other 10 keep coming in to fill in the gaps. And so for the first round of each brand new series, essentially they would have to be gridlocked for one season. So they would go a season without anyone getting promoted. So essentially, starting out with a brand new series, all those drivers would have to run 2 seasons before being offered the possibility of moving up. The only one that won't really affect will be the Truck Series, because the Truck Series will already have drivers grandfathered into it that will be either given the option to stay in the Truck Series or start all the way over at Street Stock if they want to jump in the mix and try to work their way up. But moving right along, because I don't want to make this a 30-minute presentation, so we'll get into some of that a little more in depth here in a moment and talk more about the promotion possibilities. And matter of fact, that's our next slide. So when we talk about promotion, we talk about top 10 and driver rating. That does not mean driver standings. We are not talking about point standings. The reason for that is because the driver rating is something totally different. Just because you have 10 drivers that got the most points during the season doesn't mean they did it in the most cleanly competitive way possible. Maybe they did a bunch of door banging. Maybe they spun somebody out, had calls and wrecks, excessive cautions. Just because you're the top 10 in points doesn't exactly mean you got those points cleanly. And that's kind of something that we're looking to shy away from here in PRL. We know times are going to be aggressive, and there's going to be times on the track where you're going to need to get aggressive, and that's fine. It's racing, and it's supposed to happen that way. But if you're overly aggressive to the point that it's causing continual problems with cautions and excessive incidents and taking people out of the race, we're not looking for that, and we're not interested. So we want a promotion system that is going to promote people based on their actual skill, because that's the whole point of this, is to have similar skill-based drivers in the same series so that it's not such a wide skill gap. Because as most of you have noticed and already pointed out, and what we're currently running with just a Street Stock series and a Truck series, the skill range is wide. We've got some drivers who are brand new, learning things, racing with drivers out here who are really experienced. For the most part, they go races without hardly any incidents. They're very competitive, very fast, and it can create a problem because a lot of times the more advanced, better drivers, they make the newer drivers nervous because the newer drivers aren't comfortable being around those folks, and it can just create a lot of problems. So we definitely want to look at the skill. Now, the way the driver rating is comprised, it is done through extreme scoring, and extreme scoring basically takes into account first and foremost, wins. It does look at how many wins you have. It looks at how many top fives you have, how many top tens. It also has a SIA, which is season incident point average. That gets accounted for. And actually, the season incident average can also trigger a review on a driver for a possible regression. We'll talk about that more here in a little bit. But that's what that driver rating is comprised of. So basically, as the season progresses and results get added and uploaded, this extreme scoring looks at the incidents in iRacing, because all of these results are synced up directly from iRacing. So it takes in incidents, incident points, penalties, all of those things, and it looks at all of that as a whole in totality. And then it gives each driver a rating based off of those statistics. And in a sense, that's really what you're looking for when you're talking about promoting drivers, because as I stated before, just because you've got the most points and you're staying up, doesn't mean you're doing it in a clean and competitive way in an official capacity. So that is the reason we decided to go with driver rating versus season point standings, because the season point standings don't always tell us what we're actually looking for. So to continue on here, season champion each season will have no choice. They will automatically be forced to move up to the next series. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's just how that'll happen. For the top 10 drivers in the driver rating, they will be allowed to refuse promotion once. So let's say, for example, you're running in street stocks and you finish in the top 10 driver rating. And you're offered the promotion to move up to SRX, but you don't quite feel comfortable enough, and you feel like maybe another season in street stocks would do you some good. You could refuse that promotion, and you could run another season in street stocks. No harm, no foul. But let's say you run that second season in the street stocks and you come up in the top 10 in the driver ratings again. At that point, at the conclusion of the season, you will have no choice but to move up to the next series. This prevents sandbagging, and someone who's maybe gotten more comfortable and maybe they didn't get to win a championship their first go round in that season, or that series, so they want to keep doing it until they get a championship. Well, it's not really what we're shooting for here. The goal is to get everyone better at racing and helping them develop their racecraft, and essentially move up to the top tier, because eventually everyone's goal here should be to get up to that Cup Series, because that's the bread and butter, and really get out there and try to win yourself a championship in that, or win it in ARCA or trucks or Xfinity. Those four series, much like it is in real life, are going to be our bread and butter. The street stocks and the SRX, I would say, are more of your grooming series to really get that well-rounded driver who's good at it all. So, but we will have some more videos later on down the line. Just kind of wanting to touch base here and give everybody a nice warm and fuzzy on what we're moving into here and what a lot of this stuff with the progression system means, because I know a lot of you have questions and you don't fully understand it, and I'm hoping that this will knock the dust off of some of that and maybe give you a little bit better of an understanding. So when we talk about the regression system and discipline, discipline plays a big role in the regression system. So this slide here says bottom 5 in standings at the conclusion of the season will be subject to review. All that means is the bottom 5 will be looked at, and that driver rating will be what's being looked at. Did this person have, excessive cautions? Did they have excessive incidents? Were they, what did their season incident average look like? And we have a threshold for that. And I will tell you that 0 to 10% is good. 10 to 15 is decent. It's, but anything over 15 and up, that means you're averaging between 15 and 25 points, incident points, per race, basically. And that is not where you want to be. Because, for the street stocks and the SRX, the incident points will still be 20 as a penalty and 25 as DQ. So you definitely don't want to be within that 20 to 25 range per race, because that means you're getting at least one penalty every race, and in some cases a DQ. You don't want to be there. But being in the bottom 5 in standings doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to automatically be triggered to drop you down to the series below. It just means that admin will be taking a look at you closer, and they'll decide, do we let him run another season and see how he does, see if he comes up in the bottom 5 again, or should we go ahead and make a decision here based off of the season incident average and just go ahead and move him down to the series he came from. That's what that means. It just means that bottom 5 will be getting looked at, and kind of admin will be fine-tooth, combing and looking through and maybe watching replays and just seeing, is this a racecraft problem, a discipline problem, or is the talent in the series that this driver is in just that good that the standings he's staying in the bottom 5. So that's all that means. Doesn't necessarily mean it's calls for regression. Just means that admin's going to be doing their job as what they're supposed to be doing, and looking at you to make sure that you're a good fit for where you're at, and the problem isn't necessarily you. It could just be something as simple as the competition in that series is just that high, and you're struggling a little bit. Maybe you need some more time, a couple more seasons running that series to really get comfortable, and because as you progress and move up in the tiers, things are going to change for you. There's different curveballs in every series. For example, the street stocks are going to be running predominantly short track and some intermediate tracks like Charlotte. But then when you jump into SRX, you're going to run short track, you're going to run intermediate tracks, maybe run some super speedways. And then there's going to be the curveball of road courses and also dirt tracks, because the SRXs are versatile. So we're looking to get that well-rounded driver in that season or that series. So you're going to have some races you wouldn't typically have in your standard oval format. That will be what we call the curveball series. But in the end, it's designed to just help you get a feel for every type of track that's out there, and get some experience with it, because kind of adds some fun to the mix and still keeps things competitive. So let's move right along here. So this is one of the added things that will be brand new. This will apply to Tier 3 and up, which would be ARCA, Truck, Xfinity, and the Cup Series. So we have had in the trucks and in the street stocks a halfway stage. The stage is never accounted for anything, doesn't get anybody any points. It's always been just a breather for the drivers to kind of catch their breath for a moment and get their wits about them and get back out there. Maybe take tires, fuel up, whatever the case may be. And it really, it's just with this being mainly beginner friendly and not having mini series, it's kind of just something to give everyone a chance to catch their breath. That will change. So the halfway stages in the street stocks and the SRXs will go away. There will no longer be halfway stages. The only series that will have stages now will be ARCA, Truck, and Xfinity and Cup. And now stages will accrue bonus points. They will have stage points. And it'll work in the sense of, person in P1 at the end of the stage will get 10 points. Every position all the way down to 10 will be -1 till you get all the way down to 10th place, who will get one stage point. And those stage points only apply to the regular season only. Stage points will not count in playoff races. And it is to be determined whether or not playoff races will still have stages. We will see. As of right now, that hasn't really officially been set in stone, but they may or may not have stages. But if they do have stages, there will be no bonus points in the playoff races. So that's something new that's been added. Let's move right along now. So here is the incident points based off of series. So as I said earlier, Street Stock and SRX, both of those series will still have the traditional 20 incident points. You get a black flag penalty. 25, you get a DQ. ARCA and Truck, those will decrease by 5. So 15 incident points, you get a black flag penalty. 20, you're DQ'd. Xfinity will follow that same format, and then Cup will reduce by 5 on both sides. 10, you get a black flag penalty. 15 incident points, DQ. Makes it a little bit of an escalation through the series, makes it a little bit more tougher and competitive to not get DQ'd, to not catch a penalty. And it just encourages more cleaner driving. And with the Cup Series being the elite series, that's obviously going to need to have the harsher penalties than all the other series. So kind of just touched on it here. Cup Series, that's going to be considered the elite series of the league currently. The race links will be 100% to what they normally are in real life. The fuel cap will go away, 100% fuel. Another change will be no fast repairs. You will not have fast repairs on super speedways, short tracks, intermediates, road courses, doesn't matter, no fast repairs at all. And throughout the stages as you progress through the series, a lot of that will change. Like Street Stocks, they'll have one fast repair for every race, 30% fuel cap still, 2 sets of tires still, and the durations of the races are only like 40% actual length, so 40 to 50, so it'll stay that way. Then when you move up to the SRXs, they go up to a 50% fuel cap. I think the tire sets move up to 3. Fast repairs, I think, only happen for super speedways and some short track. Don't quote me on that. I don't have everything memorized yet. But, you know, some of the differences. But as you move up in the series, the race lengths will change. They will get longer. Fuel caps will get longer as well up until you get to Cup, and then you have 100% fuel, but the race lengths will also be 100%. So much lengthier race, much more strategy involved. And a new thing that's been added, I believe this takes effect for the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series, no chat whatsoever unless it's to race control. So no more in-car comms between drivers under green flag or caution, except to race control. That's something new that's being added. I can tell you it will be in the rule book. It is not something that will be tolerated with. So there will be no warnings. You make it to the Cup Series, you're considered the best of the best. No sense in getting hung up or messed up in your season, because you can't not keep your mouth shut over comms. It's just professionalism. By this point, you should have the racecraft down and really should be the best all-around driver that you can be out there on the track. And for the most part, the chatter over comms isn't something that we really have to worry about. It kind of got a little hand there for a little bit, out of hand, but we nipped it pretty quick, and things have been going pretty smooth since then. So I don't foresee that being a big issue. So moving right along, this is what the progression ladder will look like in a visual here. So start your journey there with the street stocks, eventually move your way into SRX, and then into ARCA, then into Trucks, Xfinity, and then Cup. And you kind of see them all listed out there. I will also post this graphic into the new Discord channel that deals strictly with the progression system for anyone to look at and see visually, along with this video, also kind of breaking all of this stuff down. And I'm thinking about possibly putting some presentations together for each one of the series' rule books, so that you've got a physical copy of the rule book in the Discord channels, but you also have a visual kind of overcap of some of the new changes and stuff as the seasons and series progress. So just a little visual representation there. So ultimately what we're looking to do here is start out everybody in the street stocks, earn your way up through performance. Performance will be a big deal here. That is what we are looking for. The ultimate goal is for everyone to develop their racecraft and their discipline. And there will be a championship for every series. And yes, I don't want it to seem a little misleading there when it says to compete for the PRL Cup Championship, as if the Cup Series will be the only one that has a championship. That's not the case. Just throwing that out there, making sure everybody's aware that is not the case. This just saying here that everyone's end goal should be to make it to Cup and win a championship. That's what everyone should be competing here for. All right, I guess it wanted to show us that twice. That is the end of the slideshow. I hope this video helps some. If any of you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will try to answer them best I can. And I may not have an answer for everything because, this is still a ways out from happening. We're talking September of this year, so some things could change by then. I highly doubt it. I feel like what's set in the rule books right now is exactly what will be happening and sticking with, especially since considering, I've already got them drafted up and made up. If anything, we may make amendments, but yeah, that's the gist of this progression system. The ultimate goal here is to help everyone get better and kind of have more of balanced competition in each series so that the skill set is not so far spread out. And we're seeing that a lot right now with the street stocks. Street stock skill level is all over the place, from newbies to really super experienced, what I would say to be veterans. So hope this helps. Again, reach out if you have any questions. I'll try to answer them best I can. And thanks for taking the time to watch this. I know this was a lot. I'm going to stop rambling now. Y'all have a good evening.